Hello, beautiful souls. The following is an excerpt from my new book, The Venus Frequency. I explored the energy between Black Moon Lilith and Asteroid Lilith with Venus, and what came through was very profound for me. So I wanted to share this before the book was published. So I hope that you enjoy it. Venus and Lilith, Embodiment, Intuition, and the Wild Divine. When Venus touches Lilith, something ancient begins to stir. This is not the quiet elegance of surface-level beauty. This is the raw, primal memory of the body reclaiming its truth. This is the void speaking through the feminine, without apology. These two archetypes awaken each other in ways that can feel like chaos, or like liberation, depending on how we are willing to feel what has long been denied. In this chapter, I honor both the Asteroid Lilith and Black Moon Lilith as distinct yet inseparable voices of the feminine mysteries. They are not the same. One whispers through the flesh, the other roars through the void. One reveals the truth we already know, the other strips away what has prevented us from living it. Asteroid Lilith is the actual celestial body. I experience her as a physical, intuitive guide. She speaks through the body before she speaks through the mind. Her messages come as sensation, as tension, as pleasure. She brings the chills that rise when we speak truth. She brings the flutter in the womb when we sense something sacred is drawing near, and the pain in the body when we have betrayed ourselves. The constellation she inhabits at birth tells me where she is most alive. If we listen closely, she tells us precisely what is right. If we ignore her, she will speak through pain. When we honor her, she rewards us with knowing. We feel her through our gut instincts, our breath, and the part of us that still remembers what it means to be whole. Black Moon Lilith is not a celestial body. She is a calculated point, the apogee of the moon's orbit and the furthest distance the lunar body travels from Earth. I see her as a force of cosmic wildness, a feminine energy unbound by form. She lives in the space before creation. She is the void itself, the dark velvet womb that needs no seed. I associate her with Nyx, the primordial night, and with the quantum foam that births all matter. Her energy is not polite. She is not waiting for permission. When that current is blocked, her presence may erupt through crisis, rage, or destruction. She teaches that the feminine is not just receptive, it's catalytic, it's ecstatic, and it's limitless. When Venus comes into contact with either of these Liliths, our relationship to the feminine is rewritten. Venus teaches us what we value, how we relate, and what we allow ourselves to desire and create. Lilith asks whether that relationship is real. She asks if it is ours. She asks whether we have taken our place at the altar of our own divinity, or whether we are still waiting for someone to grant us this worth. When I interpret Venus in aspect to Asteroid Lilith, I listen for the subtle cues of intuition and embodiment. I ask how the body is trying to lead. When I interpret Venus with Black Moon Lilith, I look to the exiled parts of the psyche. I ask what kind of love was denied. I ask what part of the feminine was told she could not exist. I ask what beauty still lives in the wild. This chapter begins with the natal aspects. There are lifelong invitations to embody Venus-Lilith current in ways that are sacred, sensual, and sovereign. After that, we will explore how transits activate and animate these aspects in real time. Venus conjunct Lilith in the natal chart. When Venus and Lilith come together in the natal chart, an ancient and powerful current is activated. This is not casual placement. It marks a profound convergence of two feminine forces, each carrying her own wisdom, rhythm, and transformative potential. This conjunction invites the individual to live with authenticity, to love without apology, and to reclaim a beauty that does not conform to cultural expectations. When Venus is conjunct Asteroid Lilith, the body becomes a living oracle. This placement suggests an individual whose intuition flows through the senses. Truth may arrive through the skin, the breath, or a deep knowing in the gut. Sensual experiences are often charged with insight, and the body itself becomes a guide toward alignment. When something is right, the person feels it somatically. When something is wrong, the body responds with tension, resistance, or discomfort. The individual may not always understand why they know something, but they often do. If they learn to trust these signals, they can develop a profound connection with their own inner guidance system. However, if this voice is ignored or suppressed, the result may be confusion, disconnection from desire, or even physical symptoms. The specific constellation where Asteroid Lilith is placed will offer further insight into the body's language and the areas of life where this intuition is most active. When Venus is conjunct Black Moon Lilith, the person carries a frequency of wild, creative power. This placement often brings a deep and sometimes painful awareness of the ways feminine expression has been distorted, shamed, or silenced. The individual may feel out of place within conventional models of beauty and relationship. They may have been told they are too emotional, too intense, too sexual, or too free. In truth, they are embodying a feminine current that cannot be caged. Black Moon Lilith brings a connection to the void itself, to the space before form, to the dark womb of creation that requires no external spark. When this energy is embraced, the person becomes magnetic, compelling, and deeply generative. If repressed, it can lead to shame, suppression, and internalized rage. But when acknowledged and honored, this conjunction becomes a source of profound power. It offers the potential to transmute exile into sovereignty and to alchemize rejection into sacred radiance. Together, Venus conjunct Lilith reveals a soul who is here to remember what it means to be whole. This placement challenges the individual to reclaim embodiment as sacred, to allow desire to be truthful, and to express beauty that emerges from within rather than seeking approval from the outside. The journey is not always easy, but it is deeply meaningful. With this placement, the person is called to restore the divine feminine in their own image. They are asked to listen to the language of the body, to feel without fear, and to create from the place that has always known the way home. Venus sextile Lilith in the natal chart. When Venus forms a sextile to Lilith in the birth chart, there is a natural ease in accessing the deeper layers of feminine wisdom. This is a harmonious and activating aspect, offering the individual an open doorway to embodying truth, sensuality, and creative power. The sextile does not demand transformation through conflict. Instead, it offers a subtle opportunity for growth through experience and choice. When these moments are embraced, they open the way for profound integration. A sextile between Venus and Asteroid Lilith suggests a person whose intuition is deeply attuned to beauty and embodiment. They may be guided by what feels good, not in a superficial way, but through a kind of sacred sensing. The body quietly affirms alignment, and the person is more likely to trust these signals without needing to understand them intellectually. This placement allows the senses to function as a compass. Touch, taste, scent, and movement are not just pleasures. They become pathways to knowing. There's also a gentle self-trust here. This person does not need to fight for their intuitive wisdom. It is simply a part of who they are. If they develop practices that honor the body's messages, their path often unfolds with greater flow and harmony. The sextile between Venus and Black Moon Lilith allow the untamed creative force of Black Moon Lilith to rise without immediate resistance. The person may not feel the same level of inner conflict or outer rejection that often accompanies the conjunction or square. Instead, they may find their raw truths are welcomed by those around them. There is still intensity here, but it moves more fluidly. The person often knows how to channel their passion into art, relationship, or spiritual growth without needing to burn everything down in the process. This aspect provides access to the wild without being consumed by it. There is a sacred dialogue between desire and freedom, between embodiment and transcendence. The person may naturally express a kind of edgy magnetism that feels safe rather than threatening to others. When they choose to explore their shadow, they are often met with support instead of shame. Venus sextile Lilith invites the individual to explore the feminine in all her facets without fear. This is not a placement that forces an awakening. It gently encourages it. It offers invitations rather than ultimatums. The more the person listens, the more they will hear. The more they allow themselves to feel, the more wisdom becomes available. This aspect reminds us that healing and liberation can come not only through rupture, but also through grace. Venus square Lilith in the natal chart. When Venus and Lilith form a square in the natal chart, the feminine is in active confrontation with herself. This is not a quiet placement, nor is it pleasant. It stirs the soul and demands reckoning. The person may feel a deep tension between the part of them that wants to connect and the part that refuses to compromise. It can be difficult to feel fully seen, especially in relationships. Beauty, love, and desire may all come with internal conflict. This aspect often pushes the individual to face what they may have been taught to suppress. It challenges them to untangle cultural conditioning from personal truth. A square between Venus and Asteroid Lilith suggests that the body's intuitive voice often clashes with the desire to please or to be accepted. The person may sense that what is true through physical signals, tightness, pleasure, and unease, but may feel unable to act on it without guilt or doubt. There may be early experiences of ignoring the body's messages in order to maintain this harmony. This can lead to cycles of disconnection, especially in love or creative work. Over time, however, this aspect becomes a powerful teacher. It forces the individual to return to the body again and again until they can no longer betray what they feel. When honored, this placement becomes a fierce kind of integrity. The person learns to listen to the body as a sacred source of guidance, even when that guidance disrupts the status quo. When Venus squares Black Moon Lilith, the individual often struggles to integrate their own wildness into their relationships. This is the placement of the untamed lover, the creative outlier, and the soul who cannot fit into conventional boxes. There may be deep shame or confusion around desire. The person may feel too much or not enough. They may fear their own magnetism or attract partners who try to control or contain them. This square can also show up as creative blocks or emotional volatility, especially if the person has internalized messages that their sensual power is dangerous or wrong. But this placement is not a curse. It is a forge. It demands truth. It burns away illusions. It pushes the person to reclaim what they were told to hide. Over time, the square becomes a mark of power. It signifies someone who has wrestled with their own fire and has chosen to become it. Venus square Lilith asks hard questions. and it doesn't allow easy answers. It requires courage, honesty, and the willingness to feel what is uncomfortable. But those who meet this challenge often emerge with a depth of self-love that is unshakable. They become leaders of the new feminine. They show others how to love fiercely, create fearlessly, and rise from the ashes of repression into a beauty that does not apologize. Venus trine Lilith in the natal chart. When Venus and Lilith form a trine in your natal chart, there is an effortless harmony between desire and instinct, between the sensual self and the untamed feminine. This is a deeply creative aspect, often found in those who live close to their inner truth without needing to fight for it. The person may not even realize how rare their ease is. They move through the world guided by beauty and intuition, often trusting the body and soul to lead the way without resistance. A trine between Venus and Asteroid Lilith indicates a natural embodiment of intuitive wisdom. The body speaks and the person listens. Sensation becomes a sacred language. Desire is not shameful, it's directional. There's often a gift for knowing what feels right in love and art and relationships. The person may be able to create with flow and receive with grace. They are often very comfortable in their own skin, though they may not always recognize how unique that is. This placement does not require a dramatic awakening. It simply supports what is already present. When nurtured through creative practices or embodied ritual, it can open profound channels for healing and expression. A trine between Venus and Black Moon Lilith allow the wild feminine to dance freely within the realm of beauty and love. This person may express sexuality, artistry, or spiritual power in ways that are both magnetic and unapologetic. There is no need to tame the fire here. It moves gracefully. There may be an edge to their beauty, a depth to their presence, or a sacred rebellion in the way that they love, but it does not come with resistance. The world may respond with admiration or curiosity because the person is not asking for permission. They simply are. This placement suggests that power and pleasure can coexist. The shadow has been welcomed into the light. The feminine has been given her full expression, not just her palatable parts. Venus trine Lilith is a blessing, though not always one that is immediately recognized. It does not arrive with drama or upheaval. It offers steady, rhythmic access to authenticity. The challenge here is not resistance, but awareness. If this energy is not acknowledged or directed, it can become dormant. But when honored, it brings forth artistry that is alive, sensuality that is sovereign, and love that is free. Venus makes a golden phoenix angle to Lilith in the natal chart. When Venus and Lilith are met at the golden phoenix angle in the chart, the soul holds the blueprint for sacred transformation through the feminine mysteries. This is a placement of initiatory power. It may not be immediately visible on the surface, but it is encoded into the rhythm of the life path. This individual is often called to walk through fire in order to emerge fully embodied, fully sovereign, and fully luminous. The angle itself echoes the phi ratio. It is the mathematics of life, growth, and spiraling renewal. When Venus and Lilith align at this point, they offer the gift of rebirth, but only after a conscious descent. With Asteroid Lilith, this aspect suggests that the body is the place of the transformation. This person may undergo cycles of physical, emotional, or energetic renewal that are triggered through relationships, artistic work, and a deep inner knowing. At times, they may feel disconnected from their sensuality or unsure of their creative voice. But each time they return to their body, they discover something new. This placement may bring experiences where desire leads to awakening, or where pain unlocks hidden truths. This person is learning to trust the body as a sacred guide through all phases of life, especially the ones that require letting go. Each spiral of this journey brings them closer to wholeness. With Black Moon Lilith, the golden phoenix angle signifies a soul contract with creative destruction and resurrection. The person may hold a wildness that is not fully revealed until a crisis or spiritual awakening pulls it forward. They are not here to conform to the feminine that has been sanitized or contained. They are here to embody the source. This aspect often coincides with a powerful Kundalini potential. When the inner currents are blocked, the person may experience intense upheavals, relational breakdowns, or even shadow projections. But when those currents flow freely, they become a force of divine creation. They can birth art, ideas, and movements from the unseen. They speak from the void and make beauty from nothing. This placement is a rare gift, but it must be lived consciously. It will not remain dormant forever. The soul will always find a way to awaken. Venus and Lilith at this golden angle speak of transformation that is encoded in beauty, in love, and the reclamation of the feminine. This is the placement of the phoenix rising from within the body of the goddess. It carries echoes of forgotten temples, sacred rites, and ancestral fires. When activated, it brings the person into direct contact with their power to create life in all forms, not just physical, but spiritual, emotional, and cosmic. It asks them to remember, to die and be reborn, to rise not as someone new, but as who they have always been beneath the ashes. Venus opposes Lilith in the natal chart. When Venus and Lilith stand across from one another in the birth chart, the feminine principle becomes fully illuminated. Each planet or point holds up a mirror to the other. Nothing is hidden. Venus, as the archetype of love, beauty, and relational harmony, comes into direct contact with Lilith, who embodies the untamed intuition, primal power, and deep feminine sovereignty. This aspect creates a sacred tension. It pulls the individual between the desire to be chosen and the need to choose oneself. It may not always feel comfortable, but it can be profoundly clarifying. When Venus is opposite Asteroid Lilith, there's often a split between what the body knows and what the heart wants. The individual may deeply sense when something is off, but still move forward in the name of love or connection. They might override subtle messages from the body in order to preserve peace or avoid discomfort. This can lead to inner conflict or cycles of disconnection from the self. The body becomes louder each time it is ignored, and the nervous system may feel overextended or chronically dysregulated. At the same time, this placement brings a powerful opportunity to bridge the divide. If the individual learns to honor what they feel in both the emotion and the physical layers, they become whole. The relationship between the body and the soul becomes cooperative rather than adversarial. With time and intention, this opposition creates a person who can navigate the world with grace, discernment, and deep self-trust. When Venus is opposite Black Moon Lilith, the opposition becomes more mythic in tone. Here, the individual is asked to integrate the need for love with the call of the void. This person may carry a legacy of exile or rejection in their feminine expression. At times, they may feel too much or not enough. They may project their own power onto others or attract relationships that reflect unacknowledged parts of themselves. When Venus is centered, they may push Lilith away and find themselves in relationships that are aesthetically pleasing, but spiritually hollow. When Lilith dominates, they may fear intimacy or sabotage closeness out of a need to remain free. This aspect requires deep inner work. It invites the individual to hold both forces within themselves. They are not meant to choose between safety and wildness. They are meant to become a vessel that contains them both. Venus opposite Lilith brings the opportunity for powerful self-realization. It allows the person to discover a beauty that is not born of perfection, but of presence. The soul is not seeking balance in the sense of neutrality. It is seeking embodiment. The person must stand at the center of their own life and become the axis where love and truth intersect. In doing so, they offer the world a reflection of the feminine that is unapologetic, radiant, and entirely their own. All right, friends, that concludes the reading of the excerpt from the Venus frequency, coming soon to Amazon. Please like the video, please subscribe. Please reach out if you're interested in getting a copy of this book as soon as it is published. And I appreciate your time and attention, and I'm grateful for you, and I thank you so much.